If I asked you a year ago what a 3-3-5 defense was, what are some of the hallmarks of the defense? What are some of the characteristics of the defense? What are its strengths and weaknesses? You probably would not have been able to remotely even tell me. Now, you may not still be able to answer those questions today, but you could probably come up with a more hypothesized guess as opposed to what those answers may be. And you may be able to answer some of those on your own now that we have seen it in action for a year. We're starting to hear some of the techniques from players, coaches alike. We're starting to get a little bit more of the dynamics, but on the film, what are some of the things that make it unique? And there's a certain characteristic across the field, whether it be in types of players, positions, etc. And today we're going to get a little bit of a position in particular that is one of those that is very unique to break down. I mean, as all positions are on the defensive side of the ball, but the edge rusher defensive line position as this defensive line in a 3-3-5 is all kind of jummed up into one little package of three linemen on the line of scrimmage. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll get into in just a second. First things first, if you're new here, my name is Justin Adams. Please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out. And, I'm not going to hold you up too long with that, but drop a like, really helps me out. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. But without further ado, let's dive into the individual and the person that I'm leading up to getting into with this. And his name is Michael Riles, right? 6'3", 235-pound defensive lineman out of Port Arthur, Texas. I am from Beaumont. Port Arthur, Orange. Those are three counties or three cities in Texas. They make up the Golden Triangle. So I played against Port Arthur in school. So he's from Port Arthur Memorial, listed as defensive lineman, defensive line, defensive end. The size here dictates he's probably going to be a defensive end, not quite big enough to be the nose in a 3-3-5. 90 rated prospect, 24 rated defensive lineman, 32nd ranked player out of the state of Texas. Very, very good in terms of, his overall rating right now. And we're going to dive into a little bit of his film, right? You can see right here, Florida, Nebraska, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, UCF. Also the team that's not listed here that is in his top. Those are his top teams as of now. Something to note, Florida, they run a variation of a combo 3-3-5, 3-4 base. Nebraska, of course, the 3-3-5. Oklahoma State, I believe they run a 3-3-5 variation. Texas A&M, actually, no, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M run a 4-2-5. And then Texas Tech, I believe, runs a 3-3-5 variation as well. Don't quote me on that, but they all at least run a variation of the 3-3-5 and or a 4-2-5 as a base defense. Not all of them have the 3-3-5 as the base, but that being said, you start to then kind of see the recruiting strategies of these teams and these defenses, and we'll get into a little bit on his film why he fits those versatile style of defenses that will have the undersized defensive linemen and things like that. So let's go ahead and get over to his film. I got some stuff that I will show you over here. I'm not going to show you the Audi commercials. I promise that is not sponsored. Do not buy an Audi because I do not get any revenue from that. So the hallmark of a 3-3-5 defense, okay? You have three linemen, three backers, and 5 DBs, okay? So you basically replace a down lineman for a defensive back. And while that leaves you a little bit softer up front, what it does is it gives you way better coverage speed, and it helps you keep up with the speed of the modern college football era of just spread airing it out all over the field. So, that is why we have Jack and Rover, which are basically a do-it-all type of position. Because in the 3-3-5, sometimes you'll have your bigger linebackers will come down to the edge. Your smaller edge rushers will move up to linebacker. Your linebackers, your smaller linebackers will move back and also play coverage and defensive end. So that's why the size in this defense it's not, small all the way up to big. It's kind of, you see a lot of these position groups integrated together with different size. You'll see somebody listed as a linebacker that could be 6'5", 240, Then you have a guy who's also 6'3", 215. Well, he's also going to slide back to play defensive back, and that other guy is going to slide down and be edge rusher. So very positionless in terms of defense. That's what we're talking about. We say positionless defense. So you need, you got your faster linebackers, you have your more athletic defensive ends than you would have in a 3-4, because the 3-3-5, 4-3, those are one gap defenses. And what I mean by one gap defenses is you have a responsibility for one gap. as opposed into a base 3-4 where you have bigger defensive linemen because they need to fill more space and they have two gap responsibilities. Okay. So that's something to note here. So, it's an undersized kind of D lineman style of defense. And, it's one of those things that since they do only have to attack one gap, it's a very good way to not show your front what they're going to do, where they're going to go, and that's what leads to the confusion. Is they don't know what gap you're attacking necessarily because your defensive lineman can go either of which ways, and your linebackers can shoot either gap, and they don't know which linebackers are maybe coming in, and et cetera. So what are some of the things that you want to look for in a defensive end from a 3-3-5? And the biggest thing is you want to look for the athleticism. A high motor. They do need to be flexible, athletic. They need to be able to move, and that's why they can get away with being undersized. Like I said, that they're going to have to sometimes be able to step up and maybe drop back, into a little bit of coverage. Sometimes they're going to have to bull rush, but sometimes they're going to have to come up and stop the gap and close a runoff. So what are the versatility? What is his versatility? Can he do these things? So, um, first things first, after watching his film through a few times, the athleticism is there. He's very explosive. He's fast off the ball. He has a high motor. He has a nose for the ball, and he attacks the ball. What I mean for attacks the ball is when the opportunity is there to be made, a play to be made that's, he doesn't just settle for the sack. Let's say the ball's in his hand and it's in a risky position. He's going to attack the ball. It's a risk versus reward system, which is what the 3-3-5 essentially is. A 3-3-5 is a very risk reward defense. So you'll see in this film, first off, that they do run a base 4-3. So, four down linemen right there, as you can see on that side. And let me go ahead and switch over to this. Sorry, guys. Okay. So you can see the base 4-3, four down linemen there. I was making sure y'all could see my mouse cursor for a second. Okay. And so you'll see the 4-3 throughout most of this. Sometimes they'll have three down, but for the most part, they run a 4-3. And again, the 4-3 is very, it's similar in the one gap style. The 4-3 has a more athletic style, a quicker style of defensive end than a base 3-4. So the first, few plays here, the first one that I want you to see off of this play right here is quick first step off the line. And this is one of those plays where I'm talking about where he attacks the ball. So watch how quickly he gets off the ball. And when there's a play to be made on the quarterback, he gets over and he makes it. So let it run. That's a speed rush, comes over, attacks the ball, gets the strip, and they recover. Okay. And if you want me to replay these, let me know in the comments. I'm trying to make sure I do them concise, not too long, but also you have the ability to go back and rewind. So let me know what y'all want from these in the future. Here you see another, he's on the end here, another down lineman on the end and a 3-point stance. And this one right here is just going to be him attacking the ball. When I talk about versatility and being able to be a run stopper, this is what I'm talking about in terms of being a run stopper. And another example of where he attacks the ball and rips it out. So he doesn't just stop with the play in the backfield. High motor. What else can I do? Rip. Okay. So he attacks the ball. He attacks those weaknesses so that way you can force turnovers. One of the things that Nebraska's defense needs to do more of is force more turnovers. Okay. Now, moving over to the third play here, the offense here is going to try to run a little zone run scheme. And what you're going to see is you're going to see the guard and the tackle pull. Okay. And this is the instincts, the play instincts, and see how he identifies the play quick enough to see if he can get off of that and get away from those blocks. So. Okay, we'll let that run again. You'll see over here, you'll see these two start to pull, and he needs to make a decision quickly on what's going to be done here with this zone little read, because if he hesitates too long, he's going to get blocked off of his spot. However, if he identifies the play quickly, he can either get inside or back to the quarterback. So let's run it. Boom, blows right by that guard. Had no idea that he was about to bust through there and was able to make the play. This one right here, 28 seconds in, this fourth and fifth play right here. There's two plays here that I want to show y'all, and this is just kind of his ability as a pass rusher, right? Because On this film, a lot what we don't get to see is we don't get to see a lot of different pass rush moves. You'll see a swim through a couple times, but one of those things that he's going to have to develop if he's going to be coming off that edge is those pass rush moves. Right here, he used a lot of speed, and he's a bully. He is the bullier, not the one being bullied, and that is one thing that you want to keep an eye on. So he's very good at moving people out of the way per se. Um, he's fast, athletic, and he's good at moving people out of the way. He needs to just work on some of those details when he's not going to be able to move them out of the way. Some other aspects of how he's going to be able to get through, and win at the point of attack. So we'll watch these two plays right here, and the first one's going to be an agile pass rush, and then the second one is going to be more of a power rush and show his motor. So there, kind of a little step around, swim move over the top, more of like an Olay, but yeah, just a little rip through, whoop, sweeps him under, gets the play. Now here comes the power rush. Boom, right there. Meets him. The guy blocking did not attack the leverage. The guy blocking did not have a good pad level when he attacked, and therefore he got stood upright. And then he runs over him, gets to the quarterback, causes the disruption, and is able to make almost an interception there. So again, a good pass rusher can also break up, a play that's designed on the field. A good pass rush is going to take the pressure off the rest of your defense, the entirety of your defense, because then the quarterback has to make a decision quicker. It's going to make more mistakes, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so moving over to a minute 5. Minute 5 here, I wanted to show you this one. So this is another example of him being a run stopper, but this is where he's lined up at a different position on the line of scrimmage. So you see he's a little bit more over the nose right here. Now, let's watch his ability from the inside. Right? Again, instincts, play recognition, the quick identification of where the ball is. He's got a good nose for the football. You can't teach those. The football instincts. Here it is again. Wins, takes a second. Now that little pause right there, this is what I remember vividly when I was coming up Pop Warner. We were watching film, and it's this one little thing where you win the line of scrimmage, you find, and you just square up and you kind of just scan and you find the ball and you attack the ball. So right here, boom, scans, moving, right? Scans identified the ball where it was going and attack. Don't rush. Scans it for a second. Where's the ball? Finds ball. Get ball. Find ball. Get ball. Defense right there. Moving over. Let's go over into a couple more here. I got 2 more for you. 1 minute, 56 seconds. We're going to pass it forward here. 2 more for you. All right. Back it up just a touch. All right. So this one right here, what we're going to see is, this is another ability of him to come across and get a run stop. But this is when the play, what does he do when the play's not coming his direction? Does he take the play off? Does he just, no, what he does here is he identifies the play and he goes and gets the ball, right? And the speed and the identification and the acceleration, quickness, like all of that is shown in this play right here. And he's down the line that fast. Comes across the line of scrimmage, is able to make the play. We'll run that back one more time for you. Plays going to that left side over there. Boom. Comes across the formation, makes the play. Last one here for you, 2 minutes and 58 seconds. And this is just another example of his motor, but also shows his balance. He's not out of control. He's always staying balanced when he's on the field. So you can start to see that here when there's a lot of chaos going on. Does he stay upright? Okay. And they didn't circle him. So let me back it up and I'll show you. He's at the top. He's not down. He is right here. So watch this play. Gets around, keeps his balance, still gets after the quarterback. That's motor. Not a second to breathe in there. He didn't take but a second to regain his balance, and as soon as it's almost simultaneously to regain his balance, he was on the quarterback. Again, motor, motor, motor. You want a guy who's fast, athletic, but you want to have a guy who has the intangibles and those things you can't teach, which is a fast, you know, high IQ, fast high play recognition, and a fast high motor. And you have a guy like him with all these physical attributes, the strength that he has at his size, and you put him in a strength and conditioning program in college, and you start to develop some of those pass rushing skills. Sky's the limit with a player like him. And this is a guy that you can rotate all around the line. Depending on what you want to do with him at 235, he has a very wide variety of things you can do with him. Really, really good size in terms of versatility goes. So, yeah, that's Michael Riles. Again, he is from Port Arthur, Texas. I wanted to give a shout out to the home, Port Arthur. Well, not my home, but around the home area, because it's a small little area out there. But exciting stuff. We're starting to see a little bit of what this defensive unit in is going to look like. We have guys like Chief Borders left, but Van Poppel, Lenhart, James Williams, Latofu. Those guys are Lefotu. Sorry, I always mess his name up. Polynesian, whatever, all those names that are like that, I apologize in advance if that is your name, because I have a hard time pronouncing them. So y'all can correct me with pronunciations. I hate pronouncing people's names wrong. But starting to see some of that depth develop, and you start to see why depth is such an important thing, because you don't need depth of just the defensive end. You need depth of these these very versatile guys who can move all over the field. It's not a one trick pony here in this defense. It need to be able to do a little bit of everything. So hopefully that film will give you an idea of what kind of to look for in some of these defensive ends, etc. And hopefully you learn a little something here. And hopefully Michael Riles, we continue to trend the right direction, because he would be a massive get for this team. So again, if you like what we're doing here, please consider liking and subscribing. I will be on my Tuesday live stream with Wilson Dittman. He will be back to join me. So join us there Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central. And y'all don't want to hear me babble no more. So I will see y'all Tuesday. Peace.